All right, today we're diving into a technique that sounds, well, incredibly simple. Maybe even a little weird at first, but it's actually backed by some really fascinating science. It's called mirror talk, and trust me, it might just change the way you see yourself. Literally.
But before we get into it, let me ask you something. When you catch a glimpse of your reflection, just going about your day, what's the very first thought that pops into your head? Are you your own worst critic? Or are you maybe a friend? Just let that sink in for a second. Because that quiet internal conversation, that's at the very heart of what we're talking about. And that really brings us to our first big topic, the self-esteem question. You see, for so many of us, that voice in our head isn't always on our side. And it's almost always tangled up with this huge concept of personal worth. So what even is self-esteem, really? Well, when you boil it all down, the sources we're looking at define it pretty simply. It's your own sense of personal worth. This isn't about having a big ego or thinking you're better than everyone else. Nope. It's about the basic respect and value you hold for yourself just as you are. And healthy self-esteem isn't just one single thing. It's more like a recipe with a few key ingredients. We're talking about self-confidence, feeling secure, having a solid sense of your own identity, feeling like you belong, and feeling competent in what you do. When these things are working together, they fuel everything, from your motivation to just your general happiness.
Okay, so if low self-esteem is the problem, what's the answer? Well, this is where things get interesting. We're going to introduce a practice that, I'll admit, might feel a little counterintuitive when you first hear it. It's called mirror talk.
Mirror talk, or mirror work as you'll sometimes hear it called, is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the simple act of saying positive things, affirmations, truths, to yourself while you're looking right into your own eyes in a mirror. The whole point is to take that inner voice, which can sometimes be negative, and make it external, intentional, and most importantly, positive. And the idea behind this is actually really powerful. Author Louise Hay, who is a real pioneer in this space, put it perfectly. She said the mirror reflects back the feelings you already have about yourself. It's like it holds you accountable. It shows you exactly where you're putting up walls and where you're ready to grow. Pretty deep, right?
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like a nice, feel-good idea from a self-help book. But does it actually do anything? Is there any proof? Well, as it turns out, some researchers decided to put that exact question to the test.
So, get this. In 2023, a study took a group of 20 college students who had all been identified as having low self-esteem. The experiment was super straightforward. They just wanted to see what would happen if these students tried mirror talk for 10 days straight. That's it. Just 10 days. And the way they did it was really clean and simple. First, they got a starting point for everyone using a standard test, the Rosenberg Self-Esteem Scale. Then, for the next 10 days, the students did their daily mirror affirmations. And finally, they took the same test again to see if anything had actually changed. And they weren't asking them to recite some complicated monologue. These were the actual affirmations they used. Simple, direct, powerful stuff like, I believe in myself, and I'm strong and confident. That's what they repeated to themselves, day in and day out.
So, after 10 days of talking to a mirror, what happened? Well, the researchers didn't just see a little improvement. They described the results as a profound hike. I love that phrase. To put it plainly, the study found a real, measurable, and significant positive jump in the students' self-esteem. This wasn't just them saying they felt better. This was a shift that the data could actually prove. And I mean, just look at the data. It's pretty incredible. Before they started, the group's average self-esteem score was 17.7. After just 10 days of mirror talk, that average shot up to 26.1. That's not a small bump. That is a huge leap in a very, very short amount of time. And it's not just about the average score either. When you look at the individual changes, that's where you really see the human story. I mean, look at Janeshni, who went from a 17 all the way up to a 29. Or Yasser Arafat, jumping from 18 to 29. You can see the impact was deeply personal and, well, profound for pretty much everyone involved. Okay, so we've seen the science, right? We know this can have a real impact. So the obvious next question is, how can you actually do this for yourself? Let's turn all this theory into something you can actually practice. And remember what Louise Hay said. This isn't about being vain. It's an act of self-care. It's one of the most loving gifts you can give yourself. And the best part? It's completely free and you can start right now. So here's a super simple day one exercise. Find a mirror Just stand there and look deep into your own eyes. Take a nice deep breath and then say out loud, using your own name, I'm willing to learn to love you. Now, it's probably going to feel weird, maybe even a little cringy at first, and that is 100% okay. The most important thing is to just do it.
So let's kind of zoom out and bring this all together. What we're really seeing here is this amazing meeting point between, intuitive self-help wisdom and actual hard evidence. It's all about creating a whole new reflection for yourself.
And really, that's the bottom line. This thing that seems so simple, maybe even a little silly, just having a conversation with your reflection, is a practice that's now backed by science. It's a real tool that can genuinely change how you see yourself, literally rewiring that inner critic, one positive sentence at a time.
So, we end right back where we started, but now hopefully with a totally new perspective. Knowing how powerful this simple act can be, the only question left is, what will you say to your reflection?